What would you do if life pushed you to the edge, left you broke, a single parent, with nothing but your child and your wits? And then imagine being mocked for the only gift you were proud of. This is the story of Ethan, a man who turned humiliation into hope and a laugh of mockery into tears of respect. Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you'll never see struggle the same way again. Ethan was not born into wealth. He was born into war, displacement, and the kind of struggle most people only read about in history books. His parents were refugees. Every border they crossed demanded survival new rules, new accents, new languages. By the time Ethan was 16, he could already speak 5 languages. Not because he was a prodigy, but because life demanded it. Arabic, French, Spanish, Russian, German. They weren't trophies, they were lifelines. Years later, Ethan married young. His wife, a schoolteacher, was his anchor in a storm-filled life. But fate can be cruel. After the birth of their daughter Mia, illness struck. In a single moment, Ethan lost his wife and was left with nothing but his newborn in his arms. To survive, Ethan worked odd jobs, washing dishes, delivering food, cleaning offices at night while rocking Mia to sleep in a corner. Money was scarce, but his pride wasn't in wealth. It was in her, and in one thing that kept his spirit alive, his ability to speak 9 languages. He often whispered to Mia, "One day, baby, my words will feed us." One day, but society didn't see it that way. Instead of respect, he was mocked. 9 languages. And you're still broke. Co-workers laughed. Maybe try learning the language of money. The word stung, but Ethan endured. Always for Mia, one evening Ethan was hired as a temporary interpreter at an international conference. The hall was grand, filled with billionaires and powerful leaders. Ethan stood quietly in a corner, just a translator in their world of luxury. That's when he met him. Alexander Royce, a billionaire tech mogul, a man who owned islands, commanded empires, and carried arrogance like a crown. Curious, Alexander asked, "How many languages do you speak?" 9, Ethan said with quiet pride. Alexander smirked, then laughed loud enough for others to hear. 9, and you're still just a translator, a single dad, barely surviving. He shook his head. The only language that matters is money. The laughter echoed, and though Ethan bowed his head and walked away, his heart burned with one thought: Mia, her little voice whispering, "Daddy, I believe in you." The very next morning, chaos struck. A deal worth billions was at risk. Delegates from 5 countries demanded urgent talks, but their official interpreters were delayed. Tempers flared. The room erupted in shouting, and for the first time, Alexander Royce looked helpless. Then, a calm voice broke through the noise. Ethan stepped forward, switching from Japanese to Spanish, then Arabic to German. His words flowed like water, bridging anger with understanding, turning chaos into clarity. The room fell silent, not in confusion, but in awe. Here was the same man mocked hours ago, now holding together $1 billion deal with nothing but his gift and his courage. For 4 hours, Ethan translated every phrase, every emotion. And when it was over, hands were shaken, contracts were signed, and the crisis was resolved. Alexander Royce could only stare. The man he mocked had just saved his empire. With no arrogance left, Alexander approached him. His voice cracked. "You saved everything. How? How can you do that?" Ethan's reply was soft, but heavier than gold. "Because while you were learning the language of money, I was learning the language of people." That moment changed everything. Within weeks, Alexander offered Ethan not just a job, but a partnership, a chance to use his gift to connect nations, bridge cultures, and change lives. At first, Ethan refused. He only wanted a simple life for Mia, but then he thought of her future and accepted. Years later, Mia grew up watching her father not as a poor man mocked for his skills, but as a leader who proved that true wealth isn't measured in money. It's measured in the lives you touch, the bridges you build, and the respect you earn. And Ethan, he would often smile, remembering that night, because the laugh that once belittled him had turned into the silence of awe. Never let anyone belittle your gift. The world may not value it today, but one day your uniqueness will become your greatest strength.